welcome back to the Covenant Eyes podcast. Karen here, joined by Rob. We're at NRB still.
Yeah, still.
Yes,
still.
we
It's
are.
been a long week, but
It has.
Boy, we've had some wonderful conversations, some really excellent ministries, and we have another one right now.
We do. We're going to be talking about all things family and focusing really on equipping parents to teach the Constitution, teach the founding of our country to their children and pass that legacy on. So we have joining us today, Keisha Russell is joining us, and you are with what organization?
First Liberty Institute. We are the largest legal organization dedicated to religious liberty.
Awesome. Okay, so for all of us home gamers that don't know what that means, what are you guys actually doing every day to help defend our nation and our families?
So we're lawyers, and we defend people who get into conflicts with the government because of their faith, and we defend them for free. So, for example, one of our clients, my most recent client, Marisol Castro, 32-year veteran teacher, has always kept a small crucifix in her personal workspace, is now being told she has to move it or she has already been disciplined. She's on paid leave and has been told she needs to move it or she's going to be fired.
Goodness.
We had to file a lawsuit, and we're hoping that will go well. But probably our most popular client is Coach Joseph Kennedy out of Bremerton, Washington, who was fired for praying on the football field.
Yeah, I remember that story.
So we do defend our clients for free. So that is, I think, amazing. And we have a lot of victories at the Supreme Court, throughout the federal courts, and in many of the state courts as well.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if this is just a perception or reality, but the last, 4 to 8, 10 years really have seen the ramp up of just stepping on Christians' rights and responsibilities. And so can you put that in perspective a little bit? What has been happening to our religious rights?
Yeah, sure.
Lately?
So you're right. It's not just something we are assuming. It is happening every day. And First Liberty gets requests for legal help more than we could ever take. So it is happening every single day in our schools, in our ministries. We've got a pastor in Ohio who allows the homeless to stay in his church overnight when there's freezing temperatures and there's nowhere else for them to go. And the government there is persecuting him, has convicted him of criminal violations for doing this. This is a service he provides to the community that he is getting in trouble for. So it's not a figment of your imagination. And I think a lot of that is because the culture has become so just self-driven.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And so we know God's standards, his absolute truth, really conflict with that belief.
Yeah.
And I think that's why Christians are under so much attack, because we are convicting to the culture.
Yeah.
And we're supposed to be.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, talk to us a little bit about some of the ways that you've seen in the, past few years, Christians being attacked for their faith in their places of work, because I know I've seen stories in the news about different situations, but what are you guys seeing at the ground with some of the cases that you've taken on?
And we've represented dozens of Navy SEALs who were being the military because they wouldn't get the vaccine because of their religious convictions. We were able to defend them, and that victory was able to secure the religious liberty of service members throughout the country.
Oh, wow.
Right? So that helps. Then we did a case with a man he works at the Postal Service, Mr. Groff. Okay. And he didn't want to work on Sundays. He, recognizes
religious exemption.
Right, exactly. And the Postal Service would not give him that exemption. We had to go all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court, won his case. And now that religious freedom reverberates throughout the United States.
Oh, sure.
Because now not just the government, but all employers must acknowledge these religious beliefs and grant these exemptions.
What are some things that parents can do to help prepare their children for this new kind of environment that we're entering?
So for parents, I just want you to be super, super committed and intentional about educating your children, because if you don't, someone else will. And, for those parents who have to have students in public schools, be very vigilant about what they're being taught. talk to your kids about these things. They will listen to you. And I was a teacher for a couple of years in Atlanta Public Schools before I became a lawyer. And I will tell you, the students do listen to their parents. They will repeat what you tell them. And if somebody in class says something contrary to what their parents have told them, they will say it. And so it is important. The Bible says train up a child, right? And so that whole thing, I can tell you, really matters. So be very intentional about educating your children. And not just necessarily sheltering them, but making sure they're prepared that when they go out in the world, they can combat some of this stuff and they have the truth. So the Bible says the truth, that sets you free, right? And so if we prepare our children when they go out, they'll be able to recognize a lie. Because you can't recognize the lie unless you know the truth. And so that's the best thing you can do for your children, is make sure they are equipped with the truth.
Yeah. Now, you have a book out that can help people with that.
I
correct?
do.
Tell us about that.
So it's called Uncommon Courage, Defending Truth and Freedom While There's Still Time, published by Harvest House Publisher. So that's where you can get the book. But it basically outlines a lot of great things that parents can teach their children. How the Constitution was created. It's very accessible. And it talks about the Christian beliefs that inform the Constitution. For example, the forefathers really believed that, man was corrupt, as the Bible says. And given the right conditions, they will usurp the power of God, if you give them too much power. And so the idea was to separate the power in the American government in order to make sure not one person is not judge, jury, and executioner, right? And so that is one of the things, that's just one of the nuggets that you can get so that your students, your children will understand why Christianity was the foundation for our government and why we still have the freedom we have. We are the most successful republic ever. And there is a reason for that.
Yeah.
It's because it's based on Christian principles.
That's right. And we got to protect that. That was a gift from God, and we need to do our part in that process.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for writing the book. I think that can be a great tool for parents, for teachers, anyone working with students to really kind of embed that. I mean, we need to have an appreciation for how our country was formed and our constitutional rights. And then if we end up getting ourselves into trouble, we can lean into your organization to get some help, right?
That's right. Firstliberty.org.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Go there. Let us know. We'll see if we can help you. And there's a lot of resources there too.
Are there?
They can sign up for a newsletter and we'll tell you all of the new things happening in religious freedom throughout America and the new administration, all of that.
Awesome.
Well, thank you for standing in the gap with our religious freedoms, for sure.
Absolutely.
It's a wonderful ministry.
Yeah, my pleasure, guys.
All right.
All
well,
right.
thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Covenant Eyes podcast. We're going to put all the links in the show notes so you can check all these resources out and get your hands on Keisha's book, which I think is going to be a great tool for our parents, educators, and youth ministry leaders alike. So stay tuned for the next episode. We'll see you again soon. God bless. Take care.